All right, this is the second session of Strike, the Slaying Stone for the D&D 4e 10th anniversary series. I think for this session, we are going to probably not be using the tactical combat system. Might use the team combat in this game. Depends on where we end up. Let's go over to where you guys are at. Yeah. All right. So one thing I wanted to say before we really get into it, I forgot when we were going through the little conversation with Triona about the fact that you don't have any magic users in your party. And so I wanted to give you an artifact that you can use in order to help find the Slaying Stone. So I'm giving you this item. It's called the Searching Stone. What it does is you can use it in one of the points in the point crawl. And it will give you an indication of whether the Slaying Stone might be nearby. However, it does consume a portion of the user's life force, and thereby resonates with the life-consuming Slaying Stone. So you will take the winded condition if you use it. Yeah. So just a little gameplay conceit there to make this a little bit easier for you, because otherwise I would have just had the magic user, kind of check things out. Right. So why don't we kind of reintroduce our characters, and we'll go from there. Start with Arthur, maybe.
Sounds good. All right. So I am playing, I'm going to reference my sheet here, Gorstog Kulinov, which is a human barbarian. So I'm playing him as sort of a pretty typical tropey D&D barbarian. He's rough around the edges, a little bit gruff, but he's definitely heroic at the end of the day. But he might rough up some feathers along the way. So his major life goal is to destroy the Sundered Gate, which is a band of hobgoblins that play into his past. But as a barbarian, he's kind of got some druid components to him. So he's got a bear totem and some magics and some shape-shifting around that sort of concept. So sort of a hybrid between those two concepts. He's going to rush in and swing his hammer around and drink heartily and make the most of life.
Good. All right. And JM, who are you playing?
I am playing Arjan Pradu. Arjan, who is a member of the Pradu clan from the desert, who is a servant of Brizadas, the Elder Brass Dragon, and he is a warlord. So he is a little bit older, basically tells people what to do, and so far it's been going absolutely horribly every time he does. I'm going to attribute it to the fact that nobody listens to him. It's all your own faults. Yes, his ultimate goal is to find Brizadas' wayward daughter and get her to repay a debt. So to do that, to get to Hammerfast, we have to do this. So.
Right, and Sid.
I am playing Huru, the half-orc archer, brought up in the wilds with all her archery and tracking skills. And she has been out looking for Herxag Dragonskull, her possibly father. And she has the traditional orcish respect for life, in that she will slay as many as she needs to so that she can get to her father and then probably kill him too.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
It's like a handshake, you know.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, I'm going to throw this down in chat. Let's see how this... Yeah. Okay, so I pasted some kind of bond things down in chat. So just want you to pick a bond with the other two characters. Be one of these, or it could be one that you come up with yourself. So that way we'll have a little bit of intra-party discussion. It's in the Roll20 chat.
Got it. I wonder if Arjan is the first Dragonborn that my character has ever come across. Maybe as being part of this bear clan and being a barbarian, I've been sort of in my own tribe, kind of out on the outskirts. Haven't really had much dealings with some of the more exotic races. So maybe I have much to learn about Dragonborn from Arjan.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
I'm gonna say I trust Huru because he's a mercenary and I know soldiers, so I know if I can just point him in the right direction and he can follow orders.
She, but yep, I'm happy with that.
Okay, she. Sorry.
That's all right. I will go with. I will learn Gorstag's secret about bears.
Okay.
About the bears.
Awesome. I need a secret about bears.
Can you turn into bears?
I can turn into a bear, yeah.
That's awesome. I need to know how you do that.
Maybe the secret is that all bears are actually just shape-shifted barbarians or shape-shifted druids.
That's so good.
So...
and you want to grab another one?
So here is the thing about Gorstag, though. Even though it says in the combat rules that you are a shapeshifter, that's just the name of your class. If you look at your skills, you don't actually have the shapeshifting skill. However, if you wanted to learn the shapeshifting skill, you could definitely give it a shot.
Well, it says under shapeshifter I've got one form shifter and form of the bear. Do I not have those yet?
No, you totally do, but
okay.
it's like I think what it says there.
Metaphor.
Oh, so it's kind of like just
is it
features
more like
of the bear.
totemic?
Exactly. It's manifest the bear, right? Yeah. So like summon forth the bear spirit and
sure.
Yeah. But I mean, we can totally make some changes on the fly here if you want to play as a shapeshifter.
No, that's totally fine. I think that maybe that's something that elders of my clan can do, but that I, as a young sort of cultured, unlearned barbarian. Haven't quite gotten myself to that level yet.
Yeah, I like that. I like that as an aspiration for Gorstog.
Yeah.
One day I'll be a bear too.
Yeah. Everybody wants to be a bear, right?
Yeah. Gorstog is bear form wise, but does not yet have I am bear.
Right. I am like bear.
I am like bear, but I am not yet bear.
Okay.
Life goals. Hashtag life goals.
That's right.
All right, nice. Okay, so do you have another bond there for the other character?
Let me take a look at the list again.
Can I go with? I want to learn more about Gorstog's culture.
Yeah, totally. Why do you want to learn more about Gorstog's culture?
That's a good question. Aside from wicked bear powers, let's see. Thinking mainly because he's seems to be like wrapped up in bear furs, and I'm from the desert, so we're
It's just exotic.
drastically different. Yes.
Cool. Yeah, no. I mean, I think like
We have
maybe-
completely different worlds.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Like you come from this very sort of like regimented culture. Everything's organized to get more loot for your dragon friend. Gorstog is a totally different world.
Nice. I'm going to go with a bond with Huru. I'm thinking this is going to be a bit of a Game of Thrones, Brienne of Tarth sort of thing, where I've never seen a woman so powerful, and it is really just awakening something in me. So I think it's going to start off as being like this sort of like kind of cloying affection that may result in some sort of feelings that are very unbear-like.
Aw.
Unbear-like.
Maybe it's more the cute fluffy bears of illustration than the badass bear smashing everything.
Right.
Other
Yeah. More of a Care
illustrations.
Bear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First life goal, become bear. Second life goal, become Care Bear.
That's right. Perfect.
Nice.
Oh man. My second one is Ajan misunderstands me when I say that he is useful, and I'm glad he's around.
So what's the misunderstanding?
I can probably sell him to the Severed Eye for information. You know, it's like he'll be a good bargaining chip at some point.
Yeah, well, that could definitely
Well,
come up. That could come
Yep.
up.
Very useful. Dragonborn are rare enough to be valuable to the right people, so, you know.
Of course, I'm very useful. I have much experience.
Arjan is very good at telling other people what to do. So, awesome. Okay, well, you've all spoken to Triona, and I believe you decided that you were going to try to move through the woods and cross the river in order to get into town, correct?
Yep, that's right.
All right, cool. So, I think... Let's take a look here at your... So first of all, do any of you have skills that you think would be useful in navigating this challenge?
I mean, I've got nature.
Yeah, totally.
And tracking.
And tracking, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I have nature as well, and I have connections to the spirits of the land and the sky, so that could probably be
Oh,
helpful.
yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, you could talk to them for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
What would calculating as a skill be?
So it's kind of just like if you're in a situation where being savvy, being reading a situation would be called for, then you could use that. Or if you were trying to like set up a plan, you could use that. Yeah, so it's not like a specific area of expertise, but it is like a trait of your character, is like what you're good at.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
yeah, like like I'm gonna set up an ambush. I'm gonna use calculating, right? You could totally do that. Okay, so why don't we take a look here at using some of these skills? So I think we could use nature here and maybe get some help. So someone can take the lead, the other person can help out. And yeah, I think if yeah, let's start there. So who wants to roll nature? Wants to take the lead?
I'll take the lead on that. I can roll nature.
Sure.
And I'll help you.
Cool.
Awesome. And remind me, we just roll 1d6.
Both roll
right?
1d6. Both roll
Right.
1d6.
Cool. I will not be much help.
Okay.
Nailed it.
All right.
So
Kick ass.
what I'm picturing with my role is that I kind of make a call with whistling, putting my fingers in my mouth, and a hawk descends from a tree limb and lands on my shoulder, and I sort of whisper to it, to go scout for me, and it flies off.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so maybe what that results in is like you find out where there's a good place to ford the river. It's like a narrows. Maybe there's like some rocks along the way that you can use to grab onto. Yeah, so because you got a 6, it means you get a success with a bonus. So I believe the way that this works in this game is that you get to decide what the bonus is.
Okay.
Yeah, so just to give you a little description of what that looks like.
That'll be my last crit of the night, guys.
Oh. Okay, there we go. Bonus. Success. So, you, the successful player, choose the bonus you get. The GM and other players may have a say or insist on modifications if your idea doesn't quite work for whatever reason, but this is your chance to contribute something cool. So, yeah. It could be that you find out some useful information, that you make a friend, that you get a useful object, or almost anything else.
Awesome. So I think what happens is the hawk kind of leads us to a part of the river where some trees have fallen. There was some recent big windstorm or something, and some trees have fallen and have created a very convenient walkway, if you're careful, across the river. And I think that affords us to be completely silent as we cross. And I think on the other side of the river, we find sort of a rising where we can hide on the sort of valley side of it, and there's a passing patrol, and we overhear something of importance to us.
Oh, okay. Wow, there's a troll.
or
All right.
or are able to track the patrol and see its pattern.
Oh, there's a patrol. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. That's some compression issues there.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, a patrol. Yeah.
Troll in the dungeon.
Whatever goblin baddies happen to be in the area.
Yeah, sure. Okay, absolutely. Yeah, so you get across the river without having to actually swim, which is an advantage in this cold weather. And you do find yourself behind like a bluff, and you hear some goblins passing by, and they're like they say something like what are these hot springs all about? Why do humans come here? I don't get it. It's just you get all wet and you have to take off your clothes and they just sit there for hours. What? And then the other one's like, I don't know. I mean, kobolds like to live in garbage. Humans like to live in hot springs. World's a weird place. And one of them says, this is maybe a good place to hide. No one comes over here. Those orcs, if they come looking for us, we're gonna run over here. We're gonna hide behind that hill, and points over to the hill what you're hiding behind.
Nice.
So yeah, so you learn that there are orcs about in town, and that the goblins are a little bit scared of them.
Cool. Good to know.
Yeah. So you find yourself over by the hot springs here, and if you sort of peek above the hill, you can see that they're actually quite elaborate. There's these pillars, and actually carved stone steps into the pool of the hot spring. But it's been, like the goblin said, it's been completely disused since the humans left. So it's, on one hand, it's probably in a lot better condition than you would expect a place overrun with goblins would be. So if you want to just chill in the hot spring, there's an opportunity. On the other hand, it hasn't really been cleaned up or anything, so there is a lot of bird shit everywhere. So lots of signs of disuse. But yeah, if you wanna take a look around here, you can. Otherwise, you can move on into town. Yeah. Any sort of hot spring related things you want to check out?
As much as I would like to stay in the hot springs, I think we should just try to find our slaying stone. But if they said there's patrols don't come around here, this might be a good time to use our artifact.
Yeah.
To try and point us in the right direction.
Sure. You could totally do that. So you want to use the Seeking Stone. Alright, so the Seeking Stone, I think it's unlike the Slaying Stone, it's not like a big red gem. It's I think it's like a clear gem, but it's shot through with these veins, these sort of blue veins that move through the crystal. And who wants to make use of it in order to try to find the Slaying Stone?
It's your idea, Rajan.
Yeah,
I
will.
think Gorstag has a lot of trust for magic baubles.
Yeah,
this is definitely one of those moments where Uhuru's leveraging Arjan's ego in it. It's this looks dangerous. We need someone really tough to use this. So, Arjan, you had better do this.
Of course.
So yeah, you've probably seen any number of magical baubles in your days back at home, where because the dragon that you serve has an enormous hoard of stuff. So maybe you're a little bit more familiar with this sort of thing than the others. And you lay your hands onto the seeking stone and sort of concentrate, and you see that the veins of this that are in the stone start to become filled with red, and the stone starts to turn a kind of pinkish hue, and you feel yourself getting weaker. However, you also feel that your heartbeat is starting to resonate with a light within the stone itself. And perhaps to your surprise, you notice that the resonance is really quite strong. It's the first time you've used the stone, so you don't really have it calibrated, but it is noticeable. Like, you do feel like a very strong connection to the stone. Then your connection breaks, and you see that there is a small red core that has formed within the crystal, like an imperfection. And you feel yourself getting weaker, and maybe you sort of like almost collapse backward, and someone has to catch you, because the stone has taken some of your life force in order to work, and you're going to take the winded condition here. Yeah, so you do get a strong resonance out of it.
Okay. Do I feel it pulling in either direction, or?
Well, that's the strange thing, is that it doesn't really give you a direction. It's like it's just a very strong feeling, like, oh, there's a strong resonance. So, like, because you haven't calibrated the stone, you've never used it before. Like, actually, you know what? Why don't you make a skill roll to try to figure out what's going on here? I think that might be a good choice. So what's a skill you think you could use to kind of, like, figure this out?
I think it's broken. Let's see. Dragon-wise?
How so?
Don't know.
I don't know about that. The Seeking Stone is not a dragon, unfortunately.
So if you're using a skill that you don't have on your sheet,
yep,
you roll it unskilled, which can mean that you then learn it.
Exactly.
So
yeah. So I'm gonna have to do this unskilled then, because I don't think it's not a weapon. I can't command it. Tactics won't help.
Yeah, I think the only thing you could use here would maybe be calculating, to try to, like... But you know what? I think you just don't have enough data to do that, you know? Like, you don't have, like, 2 points to compare, right? So...
Yeah.
So what do you want to roll? Like, magical artifacts or something?
Yeah, magic items, magic.
Okay. So let's say you're rolling for magic item use. And
okay, so
go
it's
ahead
a
and make
D6,
your your D6.
Okay, so 4. That's usually not bad, but unskilled.
Success with a cost.
Success with a cost.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So you also you're also going to work on learning that skill, right? So and
What if the cost is something like, even though it's damaging to you, you kind of liked it. You kind of want to experience it again.
That's fair. Yeah.
It was powerful and interesting.
Yeah. So, so I think you just can't learn the skill unless you are getting a 6. So still going to be having that unskilled, unfortunately.
Ooh.
However, maybe it's like you're starting to get a sense of how this thing works, and I think it might be that your calculating mind is like it's just driving you to be like, I want to really understand this thing. I want to see how it works. So you feel like you want to calibrate this thing by trying it out in a different location and seeing what's different about it if you try that.
If I use this thing about a dozen more times, I should have it figured out.
Yeah.
Or you'll die, one of the two. That's how science works.
So yeah, the other two, you see Arjon sort of collapse, and get a kind of look in their reptilian eye towards this stone. But what are you gonna do?
I look over and say, "Are you doing okay?"
I'll need
Do
a rest a
people
minute.
faint when they touch stones?
Not typically.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
What did you see?
I just kind of got a flutter.
I don't know that word.
Great, yeah, incredibly useful. Just point us to where the stone is.
And
point at it. Point with your hands.
I think they call them talents.
So, so I think this is the thing, is that if you, right, so you were, here's the thing, is you actually got a cost, but you did also get a success, right? So,
Yes.
I think that you're able to understand from your use of the stone that
It's definitely somewhere in the village.
it's certainly somewhere in the village, but it's actually somewhere quite close by, which is why you're not getting a strong directional sense. It's not very far away.
Oh, so yes, I can't say where it is, except for I can say that it's certainly not far. So we should check around. Maybe in this very room.
Well, if you're insisting that I take a dip in the hot springs, I guess I can't say no to that.
So,
Huru, would you care to join me?
I think
To explore.
Yeah, yeah. The water's like got a thick film on top of it. You can smell the salt in it. I'm just like, no, thank you.
Looks perfect for me. I'm gonna shrug my fur kind of shroud off of my shoulders and dump my backpack and jump in.
okay, sure. Yeah, so you this very large man, Gorstog, gets into the hot spring pool here, and Yeah, maybe sort of gingerly. Well, I don't think you would, because you're a barbarian. You're used to living out in nature. You probably just walk right through the bird shit that's on the steps. Just like, yeah, whatever. I'll clean it off when I get in the
straight through the
water.
bird shit and muck around, but when I get to the hot springs, I'm very gingerly dipping a toe in because it's warm.
Right? Yeah, and I mean, here's the thing: is like, does Gorstad come from a culture where bathing is normal?
No, I don't think he'd look at this as an opportunity to bathe so much as an opportunity to. I mean, I think in his mind, this is quite a romantic setting. So perhaps if he sets the tone, then Huru will join him.
All right. So you get into the water, and yeah, it feels pretty good. I mean, you've been on the road, you've been in the cold. It's been pretty miserable getting here, and sort of warms your bones. But the thing is, you you uh, you get in the water, and pretty much it's just a hot spring. I mean, it's a nice time. It feels good, but there's nothing special about the hot spring pool itself. So you may need to do some more looking around if you want to figure out what's going on.
I'll take a moment to sort of lean back on the edge of the hot spring and look at my companions and say, have you found the stone yet?
Maybe if we had more sets of eyes looking around.
Yeah, I've like as soon as the clothes have come off, started walking up to the north towards that like this sort of heavily fortified building. Just putting some distance between me and genitals.
Sure. Yeah. So are you gonna like search the area while you're here?
Yep. Yeah, just kind of want to look out, do a perception check, that sort of stuff.
Okay. Well, what skill are you going to use to make your search here?
Perception, I guess.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Go ahead and roll it.
I will perceive. I have famously bad luck with perception checks with you, Kyle. It continues. Oh boy.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
That's not good at all.
Twist with all of our dice juice on that one roll.
Oh boy.
Yep.
I think there's going to be some complications out of this one.
Yeah, there's some twists and some costs.
Twist with a cost. Okay. So I believe what that means is that you both have the sort of narrative complication, and you're pretty much also going to be taking a condition.
Oh boy.
So let's twist. Yeah. So if something threw off your plans, your task may or may not have been successful, but something somewhere has gone wrong. And I'm going to tell you what that is. The cost is something that gives you a disadvantage going forward. Where twists are typically narrative, costs give you a specific mechanical penalty. So you can take either conditions, flaws, or favors. So tell me, what is your what's your flaw here? I think that was the thing that was written on your.
That I'm misunderstood. I'm misunderstood by both humans and orcs.
Yeah.
I feel so alone in this world, Kyle.
So, I think that might come into it, but here's what happens. You wander off towards the mansion. You're looking around. You're trying to be perceptive, and you find yourself away from your companions, and that goblin patrol that was passing by suddenly seems to come up behind you. And you see that, like, you're looking around, you see them, they see you, and they just get wide-eyed, and they're like, it's some kind of human-y orc. What is that? And then they run off. And
Aww.
yeah, and you just see them run away. And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start a danger clock here for the party is noticed, or the party the alarm will go out. The alarm will go out. Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So we're right now we are at 3 of 6 segments on this clock.
Oh, jeez.
Because this was a bad fail.
Yeah, I did a bad thing.
Yeah.
I'm bad at games, guys. I'm sorry.
So those goblins are gonna go try and find someone, but the thing is, the only thing that's really saving you is that there may be some confusion as to what it means that there is an orc around, because there's other orcs around as well. It's like, is this a new orc or is this one of the other orcs? All right.
You know where the goblins aren't is in the hot tub. Just saying.
That is true. That's definitely true. So, Arjan, what have you been doing in the meantime?
Just kind of looking through the area around the hot springs.
Okay.
Mainly because he's tired.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm looking.
Yeah, it's the closest thing, right?
Yes.
So, here's the thing. When you are winded, you have disadvantage on all skill rolls involving physical activity and on attack rolls in the first round of combat. So, if you use something that doesn't involve physical activity, which, seems like something you'd probably be interested in at this point in time, then you're not going to suffer a penalty.
Okay.
And just to let you know, the way you can recover from being winded is
10 minutes of rest.
Yeah. So,
Hot springs.
I mean, it's right there. But first, what do you want to use to have a look around here? What skill are you using?
I want to just kind of look around the area and try to look for what would be the most tactical position to hide something in.
Okay.
If we needed to secure something and keep it away from everybody.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I guess, go ahead and roll tactics. 1d6.
Oh, yeah, everything's 1d6. Jeez.
Okay, a 3.
A 3.
Success with a cost. All right. Yeah. So I think what this is probably you try to look around and be, conserve your energy. However, what happens is that you kind of go in to try to look over another bluff, and you feel woozy for a second, and you actually fall down the hill. So I think you might as well go ahead and take the winded ×2 condition.
Okay.
So because you just fall down, and you look up, and you see in front of you that there's a small cave that seems to lead into the same hill that the hot springs are on. It looks like it's kind of dug with a purpose instead of being something that formed naturally, and it like, given your sort of tactical senses, you can kind of notice this as like a dugout that might be used in on a battlefield.
Yeah.
It's quite large though.
Clearly, some kind of barricade setup.
Yeah. So what do you do? You've got this. You pick yourself up. You're feeling pretty tired.
Gorsag, I need help. I need a hand.
Yeah, you're like calling up the hill. This disembodied voice.
Gorstag climbs slowly out of the mucky water, and puts his furs back on and cinches his belt, still dripping wet, and makes his way up the hill. What have you gotten yourself into?
I think I may have found it. We got a spot here, but
oh yeah,
yeah. This mound here. It's clearly some kind of barricaded area. It would be
Why
a
do
good
you
spot.
sound like you've gone 10 rounds with a bugbear?
It's the stone thing. It takes a lot out of you.
Maybe out of you.
And Hurry,
All right, let's see this cave of yours.
you hear in the distance, Huru, that there's this conversation going on. Are you
Yeah.
gonna come by?
Yeah, I think hearing someone tumble down a hill is something worth looking at. So I'm sort of see myself cresting the top of the hill and looking down on these two.
And yeah, you can see, they're getting ready to go in there. Are you going to tell them about the fact that you were spotted, or are you going to keep that to yourself?
I don't think there's any need to to let people know that. I think that probably won't come up.
Fair.
Perfect.
Yeah. So if you go down into the cave, you notice, like, as soon as you come in, that there is a distinct mineral smell to this place, and there are various kind of like mosses and mineral accumulations on the roof of the tunnel that you're in, just from condensation, especially near the mouth of the cave. You can see, like, it's kind of like covered with like red mineral deposits all around, just because when there's like some water vapor, some steam coming out of this cave. Not a lot, but a little bit, just enough to condense when it comes out into the colder air. And there's all this accumulation. So come in there. This mineral smell is getting stronger and stronger. What kind of approach do you want to make here? Are you coming in cautiously? Are you just walking in without a care? Do you have a marching order? What are you going to do?
I think I'll probably walk in unless Arshan gives me a better option, a better command.
Can we take a few minutes to rest first?
I've never been more rested.
Yeah.
Just look at me.
No, we should probably get out of the open. We wouldn't want to be spotted out here.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Mm.
Now, not that anyone would be following us because we haven't been seen, but I'll stay at the back just to make sure that no one's chasing us.
That sounds slow and cowardly, but I'll play it your way.
Yeah, maybe with
Are you negging me? Is Gorstag negging me?
I would never.
And Haru, maybe with your attuned sense of hearing, you can hear off in the distance, orcs, orcs.
All right, forward we go. In the cave.
Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
It's good. Let's go.
You come into the cave and you feel that it's getting warmer and warmer as you move through this tunnel. And the tunnel opens out into a larger chamber. And in this chamber, you can you immediately feel just like this steam. There's like it's clear that some of the spring that feeds the bath is also pooling in this cave, and it's probably about like a good like at least 5-10 degrees warmer than it is outside. So this is probably the warmest you've been, except for Gorstog, of course. It's probably the warmest you've been in like at least a few days. Because you know Triona, she's kind of warming up that tower, but she's not exactly swimming in firewood, right? So it's dark in here. There's no light source. You smell the mineral smells. You feel the moisture, the heat. What are you gonna do?
Now this feels nice. Not so much steam.
Feels
Yeah,
disgusting.
and I think Arjan, you definitely are feeling pretty good in a way because this kind of reminds you of home. It's not dry, but it's hot, right? Yeah. So,
All right.
what do you want to do?
We've got to continue.
You're just gonna continue in the darkness? Okay.
Arjan, what is this foul place you found?
As I said, it is clearly some kind of cutout that they've designed here to hide away, so they must have something here. And since we knew the stones were nearby, this seemed like the most likely position.
Right. And you're talking to each other, you know, like it's kind of like it's not necessarily echoing, but there's definitely a certain quality to the sound because you're in this cave. And all of a sudden,
Does it really have a light?
there is a brilliant light that comes out. It's just like a white light, you know, not like fire, not like the light of a fire, but of like magical light. And it's like you're squinting for a moment. You have a hard time recognizing what's going on. And I think, Arjan, you're probably the first one to notice this. But in front of you is a large dragon.
Oh.
So,
what color?
In fact,
Wow, that's a bit racially charged.
Yeah, get woke, Arjan.
yeah, well, in fact, this dragon is fairly similar, kind of yellow, orangish color to yourself. And the dragon,
it's one of the good ones, then.
sort of like gets up, like, and starts like shaking a little bit, and like there's like some dust and some maybe like rocks at the start at the roof of the cave that start falling down. It's It's a little bit hard to discern its size because it's in an enclosed space. But it does like get up and it's like and turns towards you and says, "Oh, little one, why have you come here? You've interrupted my nap, and it's very disrespectful."
Many pardons. We did not mean to bother you, but we have come looking for something.
Oh,
Nothing that would interest you, just a mere stone.
stone.
Yes.
Well, this is a cave. I can understand that. Were you miners?
No, this is a particular stone. We thought it might be hidden away here.
Oh, I see. What is this stone?
It is kind of a reddish stone with what was it?
Runes on it?
Yeah, with some runes, markings, nothing important, nothing. Just
And okay, well, I think you'd have to make a roll for that because I don't know if it's nothing important. And I think this would be an opportunity for us to move towards team combat. But I think first we might maybe want to get on the table what's going on here. Before we sort of have a little debate about what to do. So what skill are you using to try to like present your case in the most favorable light possible? You're muted.
probably like calculating and dragon wise to be presenting like the best possible.
Yeah, I think this is probably dragon wise, right? See, this is the perfect situation to use dragon wise. So go ahead and roll your d6.
Ready? Come on, be good. Always with the D3. Or always with the 3.
All right, success with a cost. Oh boy, let me take a look at the costs I can inflict here because I don't think you can be winded again. Yeah, well, you become exhausted if you get winded again. I think. Ooh. That doesn't make sense. Man, exhausted would be really mean. So, but I think that's what it's gonna be.
Go for it.
So you switch your winded condition over to exhausted as you're trying to like your head is just it's foggy and you have a hard time kind of like thinking about what the proper way of doing things would be here. Like back home, it would be second nature for you to understand the proper etiquette for speaking to a dragon. But here, it's just such a different context, and you feel yourself just really tired. But what do you say to the dragon in order to sort of make your case? What dragon wise thing do you say that would be appealing to a dragon?
Either you guys got any ideas?
What was the question? What do you say to appeal to a dragon?
Yeah, because it's like you use dragon wise to succeed on this roll in order to make your case, present what's going on.
Yeah,
like I said, I
think-
kind of want to appeal to vanity and say, you know, this is something that is definitely beneath you.
Yeah, that's it. So I think it's about you like putting yourself down, being like, "Oh, I couldn't have anything valuable because I'm just a little one." Like, you know, you are the big dragon.
Right.
It's
Right. So
yeah,
you kind of make a save, like instead of saying like, "Oh, this is worthless. It's nothing of any interest." Instead, you're like, "Well, I mean, from your point of view, right? Like because you're so great." um, yeah. So we kind of
I
get
think
like
you could also appeal to its like sense of wanting to be alone. Like if we stumbled upon it, then others will too. So maybe in exchange for letting us pass and getting the stone, we can make sure that it's properly concealed, so that it doesn't have to deal with us whelps ever again.
I could see that as well. I mean, you would be giving away a little bit more information about the stone that way, but you could definitely do that. What do you think Arjon finally settles on here?
Yeah. You know, if we could just, you know, you're so great. I'm sure it means absolutely nothing to you. If we could just get it and get out of your hair, and everything will be back, and you can go about your nap. And we are very, very sorry. We know we are so insignificant to bother you. We deeply, deeply apologize to bother someone so great as you.
Yeah, so the dragon says, "This is a success, right?" So the dragon says, "Well, you are very small and mundane, I suppose, compared to myself, and I this may surprise you, but actually, I don't find myself very interested in hordes of items like many of my brethren, many of well, including, I should say, my father. That's where we never saw eye to eye. He always wanted to be getting this and that, things to lie on, things to collect. It's just hoarding. It's no interest to me. I, on the other hand, am always content simply to have a warm place to take a nap.
Oh, your father, you say?
Yes.
You is he from near here?
And she says, "Why are you interested?" And like starts to like look down at you and like eyes narrow, like.
Well, I am a member of a clan from another brass dragon. I'm sure you've never heard of the elder dragon Briseidus, but he had sent me this way.
And when you say Briseis, like her eyes narrow some more, and there's like a small gout of fire that comes out of her mouth, and it's like it like lights up the room, and she says, "Ha! So you're one of my father's agents. Why have you come to bother me?"
Emissary may be more accurate. He wanted to get back in touch with you. He has long missed you.
I
And
suppose
there
he
was
just wants
something
me
about
to.
some debts, but I'm sure that was insignificant since you don't care anything about money.
this is gonna go so badly. I love it.
So, what do you try to do here? What are you like? Are you trying to be appeasing? Like, is this like soothing platitudes? Like, what are you doing here?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
See, I would let you roll dragon wise, but I feel like this isn't very wise what you're doing here. So I think I'm gonna make you roll soothing platitudes.
okay.
And does anyone have something they could do to help out? Try to calm this dragon down as this situation rapidly escalates.
Intimidation, maybe?
Against a dragon? Maybe what she's rolling.
Maybe spirits of land and sea. Maybe I can appeal to its like sort of natural presence. Like we are, I'm sort of one with nature, sort of thing.
Okay, you could. I think that might be a follow-up thing you could do.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that I can help directly. I think you might be on your own, Arshan.
Okay.
Dragon.
Okay, make that D6 roll.
Alrighty, and what does disadvantage on a roll do?
Disadvantage means that you roll 2 dice to take the lowest.
Okay.
2d6 take the lowest. Oh, Arjan, buddy.
A 2.
Okay, 2 on an unskilled roll. Well, you get a twist. Basically means I'm making a hard move.
Even if it was a skill roll, I still would have a twist. So.
And she says, I recognize no debt to my father. He's always trying to just use me to get more things for himself. And, reaches over a big dragony hand and, picks you up and, holds you in front of, her face. And, you're feeling exhausted. And this is just a bad day is getting increasingly worse. And you could feel the heat of the dragon's maw after that fire has erupted from it. And she says, Maybe I can use you, though. Maybe you could work as a bit of a double agent. And just is looking you over and is like, yes. Tell me, what is my father really up to? And perhaps I'll be a little bit more accommodating. I think the debt that there was written there was unspecified, so you can come up with something interesting if you like.
He wanted your assistance. He wanted to expand his domain. And he wanted you by his side to do that.
Was it help fighting?
Yes.
Something like that. Well,
yes.
He'd have to do something to show he's had a change of heart if he wanted me to do that. I don't recognize that as a debt. And just and she flourishes with her hand, and it's briefly for a moment forgets that you are in her hand, and you're just wah! Getting swung around, and it's I apologize, and puts you down, and she says, well, as far as that goes, I'll let you get out of here without any injuries or harm if you just promise to make a convincing lie to my father about my location. I don't want anything to do with him. You're muted again.
I will tell him that you have left for the far-off lands across the ocean.
Well, I suppose that'll do. Make sure it's convincing. And then she turns to the rest of you and just now, about this stone. What do you want?
I collect stones.
I see. Why are you bothering me about it? There's plenty of stones out there.
There's one behind you that is missing from my collection.
And, like, when you say my collection, her eyes narrow again, and she's like, collection, eh?
So good.
Sounds just like my father! And there's, like, another gout of fire. I think maybe we're gonna have to move this to a team combat. As you try to convince her to give you this stone, because I think you just continually hit on her points of irritation here. It's like collecting stuff, working for her dad. So why don't we take a short break? I gotta kind of respond to a little bit of an emergency message here, we'll take maybe take 10 and then come back and do the team combat. So if you want to take a look at the team combat rules beforehand, then that'd be cool. It's not super complicated, but it's somewhat complicated, so we'll work through it.
All right, see you in 10.
See ya. right. So you've got yourself into the admirable situation of having a duel of wits with a dragon.
Which I feel like with one word, I really took a situation where we could have avoided combat straight to combat.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's team conflict, so this is going to be like a debate more than a... Although it could escalate into a actual fight. Which I feel like would not go very well for our party.
Probably not. Team conflict, yeah, I see that. Okay. Yeah, we've had some poor dice luck, that's for sure. My wife is watching a horror movie downstairs and she's just screaming at the TV right now. What are you doing in there? Go home!
That's great. You did have really bad dice luck, but you did have excellent luck in finding the stone.
That's true, yeah. Our one bit of luck. Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, so we're going to do a team conflict here. It's going to be basically like a duel of wits that we're doing here. And you can see in Roll20, if you look at the player reference, there is a little section for team conflict on the right-hand side of the handout. So when we start team conflict, the first thing we need to do is declare our intents. So what would your side like to get if you win this debate, and what would and I guess you would know her name by what your boss told you, Arjan, that this is Taristis, his daughter. So what does Taristis want? So figure out your intent. What do you want from her?
So I think we just want to get the stone and get out alive. That's
okay. So players is we will or Taristis will give us this leg stone. Okay.
That's so unambitious. I figured Taristis could join our party.
I think one dragon's enough for me.
It's like half a dragon.
Yeah.
Oh, harsh.
I like my dragon's fractional.
it's fair.
And I think Taristis wants. So if she wins the debate, the players will leave and let her take a nap, and also Arjan will go and lie to her father. But I think that's already been sort of arranged. So this is the content of this conflict in particular is the players will leave her alone. The PCs will leave her alone. And if it really gets bad, then she'll escalate to violence. But it's not really what she likes to do. She may be big and scary, but she's not super violent.
She's a teddy bear.
Yeah, I guess so. All right, so we have our intents down. The next thing we're going to do here is to select our actions. So in the team conflict, there are two scores that we deal with. There's an advanced score and a defense score. And the way that each round of the conflict is resolved depends on how each team's advanced score compares to the other team's defense score. But basically, if you win on both comparisons, then you win the conflict. You'll see that under the sort of actions you could take, it says like plus 2A, plus 2D, that kind of thing. That's your advance and defense scores that you're dealing with. Yeah, so each player chooses an action from the list, and they have to describe what skill they're using to do the thing. If you have the skill in question, you can do any of the actions. If you don't have the appropriate skill, then you have to use a basic action. And at most, 2 players on a team may choose the same action in the same round, except basic actions. So figure out what you're going to be doing in this round of the debate, and I will do the same for Touristas.
So this is not a combat. This is still talking with her.
Yeah, this is a debate, right? You should give us this thing because blah blah blah. And she's gonna say you should go away and leave me alone because blah blah blah, right? Not escalating into violence yet, because I mean, you don't want to take on a dragon. That's just it's not a good idea. You're level 1 D&D adventurers. You take on dragon, probably not going to go so well.
Sorry, Kyle, what did you say the rule was about if you're not trained in the skill?
You have to take a basic action. You can still do the thing, but you have to take a basic action. You don't have access to the more advanced actions you can do.
Okay.
Now, how does it work with the disadvantage since I'm exhausted? Am I basically going to roll double this number of dice and take half of the lower half of them?
So, the way it works, if you have disadvantage, so let's see. I think there might be a special effect here in a team conflict. Yeah. Okay, I'll look that up. Conditions. That's interesting. So, I think the thing is that it gives you a disadvantage to your rolls. However, in a team conflict, it's only like your team gets a roll instead of you get a roll. So I think what I might do, because in a normal conflict, you have to sit out the first round of combat. I'm just going to say that you don't get to take an action in the first round, and then the next round you'll be able to take an action. I think that seems reasonable for exhausted. So the other 2 of you pick an action, pick a skill you're using, and she's going to do the same. Pick.
I'm going to use my people reading skill to prepare. I'm going to what she says, how she says it, and then we can leverage that in the next round.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense because you haven't said anything to her yet, right? So.
Nope.
Cool. So that gives you plus 2D minus 1A for this round. Okay. And Gorstog, what are you going to do?
I think I'm going to... Let's see. I think I'm going to take a targeted effort, and I think I'm going to use nature to try to appeal to her sense of balance in all things. So to describe that the stone that she's protecting destroys the balance of nature. It only exists to kill and to rend. And as a natural creature, a rare one at that, this is something that should be taken from this world before it causes more harm.
Okay, so you're gonna put it on the table what the slaying stone actually is, and describe why it's kind of like against the natural order. All right.
Yes.
Okay, so you're making a targeted effort.
Mm-hmm.
Effort with nature. And it gives you a +2A.
Mm-hmm.
And the enemy takes a hit if you draw. Okay, interesting. I should also note that Touristus has the crafty trait. So on a draw, she gives your team -2D in the next round. Yeah. So, okay. Cool. So that totals up to +2D or +1A for your team. For both of your actions. Okay. And she is going to do something a little different here. She's gonna... so I think she's in a very, like, sort of dominant position. And I think she's going to make an advancing action because of that. And I think she'll probably also make a targeted effort. And she's going to say that... yeah, like, what she's going to say is, like, she is a big, scary dragon, and she can defend the stone better than any of you can, right? So she's going to be like, look, like, she's just going to say, oh, well, you mentioned the dangers of the stone, but what better guardian is there than myself? I took the stone in order to protect it. I have no intention of using it. Alright, so who wants to be the captain on your team and make a die roll?
I feel like Arjan's in that position, but I'm happy to.
Go, Arjan. Roll a d6.
I believe in you.
Even though I'm out this round?
Yeah,
He's
it's
still my
for the
captain.
team, it's not for yourself.
You're in spirit.
How many dice is it total?
I believe you just roll 1d6.
You guys are crazy for letting me roll. You've seen how I've been rolling. But there you go. A 3! Hey!
Okay, you got a 3, so that counts for your advance
40.
roll. So your advance is 4, and now roll another d6.
Okay. 4 for the defense roll.
Okay, and your defense is 6. Okay, now she's gonna roll. So here we go. This is gonna be for her offense or advance. 5. So with her targeted effort, that puts her at a 7.
Ooh.
That beats our defense.
Oh wait, no, because it's even better than that actually, because she gets a base value of 2, so that means she's at 9 advance.
Yikes.
A 9, and her defense. Oh, defense not so hot. Defense would be 3. Yes, 3.
That's what we
Okay.
need.
So now we compare the values. So you got an A4 against her D3. So you beat her defense. And she got an A9 against her D6. So she beat your defense. So both sides kind of won on
So it's
advantage.
a push.
Yeah, you get a push, or we get a push. So both advances are successful at push. Both sides take a hit. The conflict continues. So what a hit does, when you take a hit, the opposing team gets a choice. They can deactivate one of your traits for the duration of the fight, or they can assign you a strike. Strikes serve to mitigate your success if you win the conflict. The process is essentially identical when you deal your opponent a hit. You can decide to deactivate one of their traits or to give them a strike. Except in cases of alternative win conditions, players have little incentive to put more than one strike on their opponents. For the GM, the more strikes they can put on the player, the better. So do you want to put a strike, or do you want to deactivate her trait?
Do you want to deactivate her crafty?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Okay, so...
Not so crafty anymore.
Alright, so we get a push.
Turned off the crafty button.
Round 1 is a push, and players deactivate is crafty. And she is going to give you a strike. Strike. So the tally then is strikes. So players have 1 and she has 0. Okay. All right. So we're gonna move on to round 2. I just need to check a message. So yeah, think about what actions you're going to be making in this round. Everybody gets to act this time.
All out attack.
Yeah.
Take her down.
All out effort.
Everybody goes all out effort. Plus 9A.
I think I'm actually gonna take a calculated risk.
Okay. So round 2. Players. So you're taking a calculated risk with what skill?
So I'm going to quaff my potion of vigor, which, amongst other things, allows me to perform feats of strength.
Yep.
I'm going to kind of do that when she's talking to one of the others, and I'm going to pick up a giant boulder that would even be potentially a strain for her, and I'm going to chuck it not toward her but past her, and basically tell her that you think that you're most capable of protecting this relic. Get a load of me.
Okay. All right.
So we're going to use athletics for that.
Yeah. Cool. So that gives you a plus 3A.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Haru, what are you going to do?
I feel like I should put some D out on the table. Yeah, let's go hard. I'm gonna take one for the team. Boy, how am I gonna do this? Okay.
You're gonna take one for the team?
I'm gonna take one for the team. So I'm going to, orc-wise, I'm going to, oh man, this is going to suck so much. This is why I'm taking it for the team. I'm going to, prostrate myself at the feet of this dragon.
Uh-huh.
And, I come from a line of very powerful orcs, and I will dedicate them and their lives to your protection and service. When I take control of my clan, I will give them to you.
Okay. Nice. So you're going to pledge your clan to her service.
I'm going to pledge the Severed Eyes to her.
Cool.
I was hoping to rule the world with them, but unfortunately.
All right, that's quite a concession. I'm definitely down for that. And Arjan, what are you doing here?
You guys are both going big. Jeez. I was just going to just try to progress by telling her the story of Kinsri the Wise, who was a great dragon who needed to depend on the strength of smaller people in a story of when, that she wasn't able to do something, so she needed to depend on others.
Okay, so you're using history? Is that...
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Use history to advance or progress. So that is a +2.
Yeah. We've also got the +1A from my prepare last round.
Right. Thank you. Okay, cool. So she is going to let's see here. She doesn't have a strike, so let's see. I think she's gonna do a win at all costs. Let's see how this goes. That is +4A. So she is going to do a win at all costs, and she just kind of like gets up and she's going to try to intimidate all of you and just be like, "I've heard enough! Get out!" And, like maybe like blow some fire around the top of the room or something. Just like, yeah. Okay. So... Jam, it's Arjan's turn to roll again. Let's see how this goes. Go. Let's see how many advances and how many defenses you get.
Okay, for advances, 3.
Okay.
And for defenses, 3.
Okay. So you end up with that's 5, 6, 9. So A9. And defense is 6, I think. And she's gonna roll. Okay, so she gets a 3 on her... Ooh, so she gets a 3 on her advance, so that would be 2 plus 3 is 5 plus 4 is 9. So that's a tie on... well, that won't be a tie because it's against defense, but you both got a 9 on your advance. And defense, she got a 4, so that's 6. You got exactly the same score.
We get an
Surprise
extra hit if we
twist.
draw.
But it's not a draw because it's advance against defense.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So I think we end up in another push. Yeah, this is another push. So.
And she just took a strike. So.
Yeah, that's right. So she takes a strike. So strikes. So the players have 2, and she has 1. And so after a round, if the conflict continues, play another round, winning and losing. And I think it is, yeah. So it's possible to concede at the start of any round. So that's worth noting. But let's go ahead and do one more round here, and let's see how this goes. So you've made the feat of strength. You've pledged your allegiance to her. You told her a story about the why she should help you, and she's just gone and tried to get you to all leave, but you're still here. She wasn't able to scare you off, and what do you do? This is your maybe we'll say this is the last round of actions here.
And that tenacity is exactly why you need to give us the stone. Because we will not give up. There is nothing you can say that will stop us from going away. So I demand you give us that stone. If you want any peace.
Okay, so what are you doing here, Arjan?
I don't know. Seems like reckless effort to me.
Reckless effort, and you don't need a skill for that. You could just do it. Okay.
Or all reckless or all out effort. I don't know.
So if you have a skill, then you can make an all-out effort.
I have command.
Okay. Yeah, do it.
Good.
Taking a hit is not fun, so you might as well do that. So it gives you +3A -1D. All right, Huru, what are you doing here?
I pull out my bow. I shoot an arrow right in between 2 of its claws, and I say, "I have killed uglier things than you for cheaper trinkets than that stone, and I'm gonna win at all costs."
Okay. With archery?
Yep, archery.
Yeah, okay.
+4A, and I take an unrecoverable strike.
We need some defense.
Need defense, huh?
Okay. And what are you doing, Gorstog?
Okay. Alright. Trying to think how this would become defensive. What I'd like to do is I'd like to slip out of the cave and return a few minutes later with a goblin that I'm basically holding by the scruff, and I'm going to say to her that unless you want me to let this little whelp go and send the rest of his ugly, disgusting horde into this cave after you, you'll give us that stone right now.
So does this say prepare?
Yeah, let's call it a prepare.
Okay. And what is the skill you're using there?
I'm gonna use Boy, I think that's either... I think I can throw a few different skills in it, so it could be adaptable in that I'm using the surroundings against her, but I think it's sort of intimidation, like I'm going to send a horde of filthy goblins that, she may be able to crush a few, but they will, goblins hunt in, giant packs, and so eventually she'll be overwhelmed by these filthy creatures.
Okay.
They're basically endless.
All right. All right, so let's do the rolls again.
Roll them bones, Arjan.
Yep.
Your
Okay,
team
first
has
one.
Plus
Advance.
6A.
A 5.
Okay, so that's an 11.
Okay. And for defense, a 3.
Okay, and you get a...
Oh, what's she doing?
That's a 5, yeah. So what she's gonna do, I think you're coming at her so much, and I think she's gonna... Ooh. I think she's gonna, recover. Yeah. Plus 1d. So I think it's like, you're shooting this arrow at her, and the first action there was the all-out effort, right? So you were
Commanding her.
Commanding her, yeah. And I think she's just gonna kind of after having made this big roar, she's gonna kind of sit back and look at you, giving you a sort of assessing look. So she recovers. So she gets plus 1d and removes a strike. Okay. So I gotta roll. Alright, so her attack is... Her advance is 7, and her defense is... 4 plus 1 is 5. So... 7, 8, and 5. Okay, so you beat her defense, and... She beat your defense. It's another push. Oh, boy.
I think she's just gonna have to join the party. I don't think there's any other option.
Yeah. So that's another strike for the team. So strikes are... You're up to 3 strikes.
And I guess give her a strike back since she recovered one?
She's going to take another strike, yeah. So, so I think maybe we'll just call it here in the interest of time.
Okay.
And we'll just evaluate. We'll say that you win the conflict. So I think it will be. So conceding. So when a team concedes, they lose immediately, but reduce their strikes by 2. So she's going to concede, and so she won't have any strikes. Your team will have 3 strikes.
Oof.
And so the way this works out in the end is... If the players have 2 or 3 strikes, they each take a minor condition. If the players win, they get what they want, but they also owe concessions based on how many strikes they have as a group. If they have 1 or 2 strikes, they owe a minor concession. If they have 3 or 4 strikes, they owe a major concession. So, you owe her a major concession. Concessions are narrative effects that are discussed by a group. A major concession might mean that you got your goal, but something happens that bodes very ill for the future. Or it might mean that you achieved most of your goal, but its completion is still one step away. Final decision goes to the GM. So I think that she's listening to this. She sees the goblins come in, right? You see Gorstog show up with the goblin. And she says, "Your tenacity is frustrating, but I will not kill you for it." And she reaches over and, like, in a like with two fingers of her hand, picks up the slaying stone, which is, like, you know, just so tiny compared to her, and hands it over to probably hands it over to Arjan. And you can see it's like this kind of large red stone with runes all over it. When you pick it up, you feel a strange sort of you feel a feeling quite similar to when you use the Seeking Stone, actually. But you're not exhausted by it. It's okay. You can deal with it, but you might not want to handle it for too long. So maybe you put it away or something. So for the major concession, I think she says, you must destroy the stone now that I have given it to you. And if you do not, I will hunt you down personally and turn every one of you to ash. And big gout of fire above your heads. And then she turns to the goblin and she's just like, what are you going to do with that thing?
I look her dead in the eye, and I'm still holding the goblin, and I crank its neck and kill it, throw it at her feet. Snack for you.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, she's like, I do not eat such disgusting things. Go feed it to the wolves. They're hungry. And yeah, so Sid, you brought up the idea of using the slaying stone against her.
I've got
that was the secret.
Other targets, but there was just a thing. Just like, that'd solve two problems.
I mean, you can, right? It's that's what it does. It's the slaying stone. It kills anything dead.
No, that'd be a distract. Hey, Arjan, you look tired. I can carry that for you. I've got a pouch for it. It's fine. I got this.
Sure. Since I trust you, yes.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm so glad you trust me. As I get it, I immediately like, you sure are useful. I don't know how this thing works, but like, I'm gonna grab hold of it and like yell out my father's name, strike a pose. Hold it in both hands, wish really hard.
Yeah. And I think that you see Taristus's eyes go wide, and she goes to breathe fire at you, but then you see this surge of red lightning that comes out of the slaying stone, and it just comes out in like what? It's not like a extended like Emperor Palpatine like lightning. It's just like this one burst of lightning that just washes over her body. And you see that like all of her scales and her flesh just turns to ash and blows away, and it's covering this entire room that she's in. You see these little like bits of scales and things that have been and like flesh, dragon flesh, that have been blasted away, that are raining from the top of the ceiling and getting all over your clothes. And the dragon is no more, and you see that the stone it's no longer red, it has just gone completely black, and the runes have faded from it.
Well, I have made this stone safe. I think I've done good for the world. Well done, team.
I am dead.
So
I
yes,
can never return home now.
I look wide-eyed and say, "Why? Why would you do that?"
So I'm happy to pursue this if people are, because it's a great road to go down. But Kyle, I didn't make myself clear. Sorry, my original intent was to use the stone on Dragon Skull, on the guy that I've been.
Oh.
trying to hunt
Sorry.
down.
That wasn't clear.
Yeah,
I
no,
thought
exactly,
I
Dragon
thought you were
Skull.
going to use it on her.
No, I said that as a bit of a gag, but then you kept going. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to let this play out and see how it goes. But I think I'd prefer not to step on JM's toes that
Yeah.
hard.
So how do we feel? Do we want to retcon that out, or do we want to keep that in as a thing the party's done here?
Sydney, that's your
That seems
choice.
good. Either way, I'm good.
You do.
I mean, no, I'm happy to just go reckless. So yeah, kill the dragon, and then just like flip the coin back to Arjan and say, there you go. It's safe, and we owe her nothing. I have solved everyone's problems. Turn and start to walk out the door.
Oh, just
Yep.
yeah. So
you wrap things up.
So obviously, Arjan, this creates some significant issues for you. Gorstog, maybe you're not feeling so hot about this unnatural magic that has been used
Definitely not.
to destroy the dragon.
I shake my head and mutter something about my terrible taste in women.
Yeah, and
Shake the stone. Bring her back.
Yeah, and you shake it, and there's no response for the stone. It's just an inert gem at this point. And yeah, there's probably just like some dragon ash that lands on top of the stone as you're holding it, and you're like, ugh. So
I kneel down next to the ash pile and I give like a shamanic prayer.
Yeah?
Sending its soul to for whatever the better place is in my faith.
do you want to talk to the spirits about this?
Yeah, that's a great idea. All right, I am going to kneel, and as I'm praying, I'm going to kind of get into a meditative trance, and I'm going to appeal to the bear spirits to spirit her soul away.
Okay, let's see how this goes.
All right. Do I have to roll anything for that, or is
It's
it
a
just
D6. Yeah, roll a D6.
D6? Okay, let me roll that. Somehow I'm gonna screw this up, guys. It's gonna be great. 2.
Okay, that's a twist. Didn't
Good.
get a cost. So yeah, I think that you summon forth the bear spirits, and it's probably like the other players probably can't see this, but in your mind's eye, you can see that like the dragon ash is sort of forming into these bear-like forms in front of you, and you can kind of see like a wispy form of Touristus in the air around you. There's almost like a mist form of her that is lingering in this room. And I think that you see the bear sort of encircle this form of Touristus, and they are kind of making these silent gestures towards her, but you see that she is not placated by their words, whatever strange sort of celestial language they're speaking. And you see that her form starts to coalesce more, and it forms into this kind of like glowing ball, and it just disappears down into the ground. And then there's a rumbling sound, and you feel that the hot springs are going to erupt into a geyser. Like, this land is going to be broken. Touristus' spirit is pissed. So the rest of you could you see Gorstock doing this ritual, and then you just hear this rumbling. And what do? I mean, hurry! I think you've already kind of left the cave, right? You're headed down the entranceway. What do you got? What are you gonna do? Get out of here? Beat a hasty retreat?
Yeah, we've done everything we need to do, right?
Yeah, so you just, I don't know, Gorstock, maybe you quickly pick up your things, you're like, get out of there, barreling down this hallway, and you just, like, look out from the base of this hill up towards the hot springs, and they just explode. The baths explode. There's bits of plaster and rock that go everywhere. And this huge geyser of hot water comes bursting out of the ground. And the ground around you is becoming increasingly unstable. And it's getting hotter and hotter. So you could run somewhere, but where do you run to?
Back towards where we came across.
Yeah, I mean, ford the
river. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. So I think that this is not going to be easy. Like, yes, there is a log to get across. However, in these circumstances, getting across it is not going to be something you could easily do in a hurry.
I'm still exhausted, but I'm more concerned with holding on the stone than anything else.
Right. So I think that I don't think this game has group roles. There's only helping roles. So I think I just want each of you tell me how you're getting across this river.
I had kind of a different idea about what I could do, and let me run this by you guys and see if you even want to go down this path. So, so I think I'm still in this meditative trance, and I am sort of at a distance, kind of disembodied, seeing the spirit of this dragon descend and sort of cause this eruption, and with my ability to sort of commune with spirits and sensing the sort of danger that she's causing to not just my party but to this part of the world, I strike a bargain. I shout a bargain with her, and I say, you may, if you spare my party and if you spare my friends and you spare this part of the world, you may find a new vessel in me. I will open myself to you.
Okay. Well, I guess you didn't kill her directly. So maybe she would be willing to talk about this. So let's say that you. So what skill are you using here? Is this the same skill you're going to try to use?
So skill-wise, I think I might use Spirits of Land and Sky.
Okay.
And basically, the bargain I'm willing to make is that she can live again within me, like alongside my personality, ever at war, ever fighting for control. But at least she won't descend into the whatever the version of the underworld in this world might be.
Okay, so I think you can make this roll, but you're going to be making it a disadvantage because this is a very risky thing to be doing.
Yes. All right. Here it comes. 4 and a 6.
Okay, so you get a 4. Yeah. All right. Well, you do succeed. And so I don't know if you're gonna like what success looks like, but you do succeed. So I think it's probably like her. You focus as hard as you can, and you manage to draw her spirit out of the earth. And the rest of you see that like the tremors in the ground are starting to subside. And her spirit appears before you, Gorstog, and there is a moment of understanding between you. And she just rushes into your body, and then you can hear her voice in your head. And I think maybe that she says to you, well, now I have a body. Now I have a home. But I sense in you a strong desire for revenge against those who destroyed your tribe.
Yes.
I, too, have a strong desire for revenge. And you feel in yourself a deep-seated need to destroy Haru and her people.
Perfect. I say to her, we should bide our time. After this is over, we'll take the stone and we'll have our vengeance.
Ghost Dog's had a deep-seated desire to destroy her for a while, I think.
Oh boy.
We must play the part. They will never know.
Yeah, I like it.
Until it's too late.
You have like this weird bear dragon spirit in your head telling you to destroy things.
I've kind of got a Gollum Smeagol thing going on now. This is great.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of which, I think it's like the tremors subside, but this has obviously alerted everybody in town to what's going on, right? This is something people are going to come investigate. And you see from over the hill, these kind of ruined remains of the baths and all this kind of just detritus that's been strewn everywhere. There's a bunch of goblins that start to climb all over the debris and come towards you. You all have your backs to the river. And they're sort of pointing at you and saying things in Goblin. Then you see over the hill emerges a figure on top of a large draconic creature. And on their armor, on their chest armor, you see emblazoned the standard of the Sundered Gate. And it's a hobgoblin on top of this thing, and he's pointing at you and says, "You there! What have you done?"
We have done nothing. We have come here to see you.
Me? What do you want with me?
Come closer, I'll whisper it into your ear.
And I think this hobgoblin, we'll just give you his name. His name's Hujat. Climbs down off of his drake, and draws his sort of like big, mean-looking sword. This is, these one of these like really sort of like rough-hewn, large slabs of metal. Comes down the hill towards all of you, and like takes a quick look at Gorstog and says, "Oh, I see how it is. You're a member of that bear tribe that we destroyed. Well, you come to make sure that there's none of you left at all. You come to seek a quick death."
Oh no, I come with a message from the spirits. I've come for you. And I pull the warhammer off my back and stand in a stance.
All right.
Let's do this.
And yeah, Hujat says, "Very good," and like turns towards all the goblins and says, "Listen, you little shits. Don't get involved. This is between me and the human." And so the other two of you, what are you gonna do? You see, this is like a dual situation that is manifesting here. What are you gonna do?
Is everyone paying attention to the fight?
Yeah.
We run.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave and head for the tower.
Okay.
Because I got the stone and I need to get something to undo the magic of the stone. So.
Okay, fair. Yeah. Yeah, so I think you probably just sneak off because like everybody's focused on this fight. Huru, what are you gonna do?
Man, yeah, I'm going to. I think it's just like sees the fight, tap Gorstag on the back. You know where to find us. Turn, jump over the log into the woods.
All right, Gorstag, they don't have your back, but
That's fine.
the bear spirit does. You have two spirits at your back now.
That's right.
You don't need
Bear dragon.
You don't need mortal friends. So, the way this is gonna go is we're gonna do an opposed roll.
Okay.
And let's see how we can do this here. Yeah. So you and your opponent are in an argument, a race, etc. You're now about to make an opposed roll. Here is how it works. You each declare what you want, your intent, and how you're going to get it, your task. Your opponent does the same. So, okay.
All right.
So what's your intent?
Totally murder this guy.
Yeah, his intent is to smack you down and exterminate the last of your misbegotten tribe. Okay, and your task. What is your task? How are you going to totally murder him?
I'm going to shift. I'm going to do the one form shift, which increases my size, gives me reach, gives me additional speed, and increases my melee attack ability. And I'm going to hammer this guy until he stops twitching.
Okay, so
into the
you're
ground.
gonna manifest your bear form, and you're gonna use your hammer skill to beat the shit out of him. Okay,
That's right. Yeah.
cool. And yeah, he's going to definitely be using his sword fighting abilities in order to do this. All right, so assuming that you are indeed at odds, you each pick a skill and roll the dice. Higher roll wins. If one character wins by 3 or more, they win completely. They get what they wanted, and the loser pays the price of their actions. Okay, so let's roll here.
Okay.
Ujat versus Gorstog. Here goes Hujat.
All right. And here I go.
Oh, Gorstog. Oh.
Or-
Okay, it's gonna be a mixed result. He didn't win. If he just got one more point, could have murdered you completely. But all right. So if a character
What does
wins
it mean
by
that
1
my
or 2,
attacks become melee or R5? Does that make a difference?
no, that only applies in tactical combat.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah. So here, if a character wins by 1 or 2, the winner gets what they wanted, but the loser picks one. The winner's hold on it is insecure. It costs the winner more than they expected. They get a cost or sometimes a twist. It costs the loser less than they expected. They avoid a negative consequence, such as a cost or twist. Or the loser gets something extra too. They get a bonus as though they rolled a 6 on a standard skill roll. Okay. So, which of these do you want to choose? I think, is it on the player handout as well?
Let me double check.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's under opposed rolls.
Under opposed rules. Ooh, all right. So their hold is insecure. It costs them more than they expected. It costs you less than you expected. You get something extra. I'm gonna let him get a good strike in on me, but in so doing, I am going to kind of slide within his range and get to the point where he just can't maneuver around me very effectively. I'm going to use my increased speed and size to sort of overwhelm him. So yeah, he got a nice slash across the chest, but pain only makes me stronger.
Okay, well, this is interesting because remember our intent was to murder each other.
Mm-hmm.
And he did succeed. So I think what this is going to be is you're going to be able to make a skill roll to see if you can also murder him before you die.
I see. Okay. Oh, so it's just like a straight one roll murder fest.
Yeah, because that was our intent. We declared we're going to murder each other. It was like,
sense.
no, it was all on the line. Like,
okay. All right, so I'm going to roll to see if I murder him as well.
Yeah. What did you get?
A 4.
Okay, you do. So
Nice.
What does this look like? Like, this is like the two combatants come together. Hujat scores a strike against you across your chest, but you just keep barreling through. How do you murder him?
So I think that I come in close and he stabs into my chest and he gets like a vital organ. But I just barrel him down, and with the back of the hammer, I just beat him to death until I bleed out slowly and end up flat on my back.
Okay.
Breathing hard, and then finally expire.
All right. So, yeah, I think we see like the bloody, like his breastplate has just been like smashed up, and we can see like a bloody remains of like the Sundered Gate emblem. Blood stained. We see Gorstog fall next to him. The goblins kind of like crowd around to take a look, and I think there's got to be like some kind of spiritual ascension thing that happens here. What does that look like for Gorstog?
So I think what happens is I'm on the ground for a time completely still, and suddenly my eyes open and they're sort of milky white, and a gout of flame erupts out of my mouth, and I rise up, and I'm clearly undead. I'm sort of twisted, and I have this big hole in my chest, and I start walking, and a scream bellows from my voice, and it's clearly the scream of a dragon, and that's where it like fades to black for me.
Oh shit, Haru. You've got a zombie dragon man coming after you.
This got real OSR real quick.
Yeah. Okay,
Yep.
so the two of you, so Arjan, you're headed back to the tower. Haru, where are you going?
No, I'm going back to the tower, right? Because they're gonna get us to Hammerfast.
Yeah. So
That's the plan.
So I think we can just align this. We see along this kind of disused road leading out of the town of Kiris Dahn. In the background we see like steam arising from the side of the city, evidence of the previous explosion. We see Triona on it's probably like a donkey, leading the rest of you down this like side road towards Hammerfast, which we can the camera zooms out, we can see it in the distance across the mountains. There's like this weird tomb city, and then we get a shot of the three of you walking down this path, and then it zooms out and it's like over the shoulder of zombie Gorstag, just like holding this hammer and like sort of like flames licking at the end of it, going to hunt you down. All right. Nice.
So good.
Nice.
I'm on the zombie dragon side.
Oh man.
So do either of you want a chance to epilogue here, or are we gonna wrap it there?
No, I love leaving my story there. That's so good.
Yeah, I think the uncertainty of what happens next is just amazing. I'm
All right.
happy with that.
Good times.
I would say I just want to ask Triona to undo the magic, fix it, and there's no way.
There's no
And
way.
kind of-
But I think what it might end up being is like,
You taking Gorstad back?
yeah, like I could see it being a thing where like if things went well enough for you, Triona might be able to figure out what happened to Gorstag and then like do something to get the spirit back for you so you could take it back to your master, right? Like some kind of elaborate thing like that. It would be like a big long thing to deal with, but yeah, that would be interesting. I like that though. I like the character being in this like really just shit situation. Like, how am I even gonna what am I gonna do? Fucking dragons! Yeah. So okay. Well, let's just quickly do some thorns and roses, and then maybe we'll go for like a little bit of a debrief on Discord. So thorns. Yeah. Let's start with Arthur. Do you have any thorns about the session or about the game?
No, I think this session went really well. Other than my technical difficulties in the beginning, and it made me like 15 minutes late, which I apologize for. I thought it was. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting that cave encounter to sort of be the place where that stone was, but I think it made for a really cool set piece and a fun sort of battle of wits. So yeah, I don't think I have any thorns to report.
Okay. JM, do you have thorns?
can think of right now.
Okay.
Yeah, there was the only thing that I could really think of is nothing really to do with the game, but the handout doesn't really it needs a little bit more detail on what the cost means, what a bonus is, because the one that we have doesn't have any of that information on it.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you completely. I think the handout is a little. It's not the best cheat sheet I've ever seen. That's for sure.
Yeah, so a lot of that information was kind of iffy, especially because we utilized that a lot more this session. It really stood out to me that that information wasn't in there.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Sid, you have a thorn for the game?
I don't like phasic games where it's not clear why things can't be used in different things. So Arthur experienced this where he's like, so I drink the potion, I do the thing, and what does that mean mechanically? And you're like, it doesn't mean anything because that fiction only influences the mechanics in tactical combat. And
right.
That's in games like Blades or whatever, where they're pretty clearly in different phases, but they're fictionally different phases as well, whereas the difference between tactical combat and regular combat in the fiction is really nothing.
Agreed.
Which that was the only disconnect I had. I quite like that team battle rule, but getting the push 3 times just makes me think that either we're not playing it correctly or it needs a little bit of something else, because you don't want to keep pushing again and again and again.
Yes. So just to pick up on that, I feel like I tried to sort of translate the attributes that are indicated in the tactical combat stuff into the fiction, but again, there's no mechanical clarity there as to how that might happen, and I think that I want more. I would like a skill system that allowed for a little bit more overlap and consistency there, right?
Yes.
Maybe if there's a little bit more of a point scale, so if you get a really high advance, that gets you a little further along versus a small advance type thing, something so you feel like you're growing towards a success instead of push.
Oh, right. So for the contest, the team contest, I agree. I think there should be maybe at least an upper limit for how many strikes happen, or how many rounds happen. I feel like there should be a sudden death round, basically. I think that's a thing we do in games all the time, and I'm not really sure why this game doesn't have one. Because I can't see going through over 4 rounds being fictionally interesting, right? Because you just kind of run out of things to say.
It kind of does, because it has the 5+ is player win condition is, owes a major and a minor. So there's really no reason to go beyond 5 rounds.
Sure, I would just like it. I just like it spelled out. This is when you go to sudden death, right? I'd like to see that. As for the sort of fictional overlap thing, I think that it's partially a sort of presentation issue, I think, but also I feel that I kind of felt the same sort of issue with this game's skill system that I do with Fate sometimes, where it feels like the skills you pick are just kind of taken out of the blue, and it's not really clear if they're going to work together very well, because they could just be anything. So I feel like that needs a little bit more sort of like coherence. That would be nice. And again, like I feel like this is just a thing of playing a generic system. It's not really designed for that. So I find usually with Fate, like I'm massaging or adjusting my traits and stuff like 3 sessions into the game, and then I finally hit the point where I'm like, okay, this character is where I want it to be, but it takes some adjustment. Again, I just kind of feel like this game would be better if it was a focused product instead of a generic product in some ways. Okay, so let's talk about roses. So Arthur, you said something before that was nice, but is there anything specific that you thought went well?
I guess I would just say I appreciate everyone rolling with the sort of crazy ideas and things that I was coming up with there. I didn't want to sort of take control of the story, but and hopefully we all felt like we had some fun moments there. But I had these wacky ideas with the spirits and stuff like that I thought would be really fun. I just think the system probably didn't do a ton to sort of enhance the fun that we were having just playing together and going through the story. And Kyle was doing a great job of framing that up. So I think despite some of the clunkiness that we had there, which is no one's fault, I think it was still a lot of fun, and we all did a great job.
Thanks. JM, you have a rose for fellow players or the game or the system or anything?
I think it was a really fun session, first off. And I, despite the fact that I got success with a cost almost every time, I like the simplicity and the variability of the skill system. It shows how you could really easily take this and adapt it in a multitude of ways, and how it really does let you just kind of fly with whatever you're doing, because we were able to go with whatever crazy idea it is, because it's all just, let's just throw a d6 and see where it goes. So it's kind of like the Powered by the Apocalypse there, but it seems even a little bit more free because you don't have the move structure and everything to it.
Sure, fair, yeah. I think it has that advantage in the way that like Fate also has. Definitely. Cool. And Sid, do you have a rose for game or the system?
Yeah, I got roses all around, man. So Arthur, I loved the spirits thing and how that like drove such a core part of that character. That was awesome. I really liked the zombie dragon thing at the end. That's fantastic. Jay, I want to give super props to you. Like I was originally misunderstood when we killed the dragon, but like just the way that you rolled with it being such like a fundamental thing to your character was really cool. I love people that like jump on character complications like that. Like, oh god, what do I? And yeah, so I was really appreciative of that. And Kyle, really, really interesting session. I think this game, along with a lot of others, puts a lot of labor in the GM's chair about like, you have to figure out what every twist is. You have to figure out what every cost is. Same sort of thing that we see with like World Dungeons and stuff like that, which is it's strictly harder to GM than a lot of OSR or even like more core PBTA stuff is. So I really appreciate it. It's always awesome to see the amount of work you put in.
Oh, thanks. And I think that I mean, obviously the things that have been said already, agree with that wholeheartedly. Like the whole character arc we had here, and all these, sort of see where these characters ended up. Like one of Huru being quite pragmatic and just being like, okay, well, we're in a number of complications here, which could all be solved with just zap, you're dead. And yeah, and then Arjan being in big trouble, and Gorstog, your sort of duel. I love how you went into that opposed role, just being like, okay, we're just throwing down, like, this is it,
So good.
do
This
or
is
die.
happening.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe I didn't explain that mechanic as well as I could have, but like, I still think that the end it was like pretty fun, where it's just like, okay, this is like an actual duel where you live or die, and that's it.
Yeah.
Uh,
I had a feeling I was gonna buy it, so so it worked out totally perfectly.
yeah. So other than that, I did think that the duel of wits we did was, other than the problem of the lack of a sudden death, I thought that was actually a lot of fun. And I kind of look forward to trying the actual duel of wits in Burning Wheel, and seeing how that compares. I really like, actually. I think that in the team conflict system, that's like one area where the generic nature of this game actually works in its favor, because I think the labels on the different moves in the team conflict in this game are pretty easy to read and interpret. And I think it's pretty easy to actually just like pick up that system and play it in a way that, like the reputation of Fight or Duel of Wits in Burning Wheel doesn't really have. So I think they did a really good job of actually making that quite accessible. And it's also a very flexible mechanic in terms of, like, you can use it for a fight, you can use it for a debate, you can use it to be traversing some difficult terrain, you can use it for all kinds of things. So I think it's all pretty nice. I just wish there was a little bit of a capstone, and that's probably what I would homebrew into that system.
Look into Inner Wicked Age has a similar thing, like
cool.
a competitive rolling thing, and then it's got escalation and like momentum, and then it ends like it's got areas for negotiation out, and then it ends with like clear victory one way or the other on the third round.
Nice.
What was that?
Inner Wicked Age.
Okay,
It's the dice mechanic that I've actually hacked into Dogs in the Vineyard, because it's just a much better, short, dynamic, escalating conflict system.
Yeah, so I would be interested in taking a look at that for sure. And yeah, just sort of like my general thoughts about Strike. I think it is a game with quite a few interesting ideas, but it was difficult to prep for. It's really hard to like get everything together. It required a ton of like hacking on my part, and just like sort of solo play of like, okay, well, what kind of skills would these characters have, and like how can I think about adapting what is in this book for the combat into things that make sense as things that like these characters would do. Like, how can I make like the shapeshifter into a spirit totem barbarian, right? Like, there is a way that you can sort of reskin things from one domain to the other domain, but it required a lot of thinking and being like, well, what are the analogies here? How do I relabel things? What skills do I pick? I think all of that is fine if you are doing like each player makes their own character, but I wonder if then you would end up with really kind of uneven quality in characters as well. So I don't know. I have really mixed feelings about this game, but I do think it was fun to play, and I think it has some points that stand out as like, oh, this is pretty nice. I do think that the tactical combat is actually pretty well done once you get it to the table, but there are those pacing issues we talked about, and I don't know, maybe that is something that would work better in a campaign if you did like one or like let's say we played 4 sessions and we had tactical combat in 2 of those sessions. Maybe that would have been a balance that would be fun. I don't know. As it stands, the real question here is, would I just use World of Adventure to run this module instead of using this game, instead of using Strike. And I feel that the only thing this game really, well, I mean, tactical combat, if the players are into it, of course, you know, this game does that way better. I think the combat in this game is a lot more interesting than in most, like, I don't know, Worlds of Adventure is pretty good, but, like, in Dungeon World, certainly, I feel like the combat is pretty not so hot. But if you just want to tell a D&D-like story, if you just want to go through it with characters and see what the module's like, I think the only thing that this game really has over Worlds of Adventure is the team conflict system that we used. And other than that, I don't think there's any real reason to use it, because Worlds of Adventure is just so much easier to prep. Yeah. So I don't know. It was an interesting experiment, and I think I learned a lot doing it. But thanks for being along for the ride, everybody.
Absolutely.
What is Worlds of Adventure?
It's sort of fan community attempt at a Dungeon World 2.0. I think it's pretty solid, pretty fun.
Google's
It's
not
available
pumping
for free,
anything
I think, right?
Yeah, it's available for free. It's like being done by the people on the Dungeon World Discord server.
Okay.
Yeah.
There, I found it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Check it out for sure. So the conclusion is check out Worlds of Adventure.
Yeah. I have yet to play it, but I've read through it, and it does look like a lot of fun.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's solid. It's a good time.
Played a couple of times. I like what it does. I think it gives more identity to the playbooks, which is what I really think Dungeon World needs.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and some things that can add some kind of interest to the combat, because again, I feel like, yeah, that's another thing I'll say is, like, the opposed roll thing we did with the duel in this, in a way ended up being a lot more interesting than your average Dungeon World combat. Although it's not something you could do in a campaign, right? Like, it's like, you can't go into every duel and say, here's the stakes, we're just gonna murder each other and expect the game to continue. But,
Yeah.
I do think that there are issues with combat in PBTA games that this game can, in some ways, improve on. You can even do, like, a team combat as actual combat, right? And kind of, if you were, like, let's say, like, one thing Dungeon World is really bad at is, like, combat between groups of people, right? So if you wanted to do something like that, then the team conflict roles in this game could actually help out with that in some ways.
Yeah, that might be a nice little hack to do in certain cases.
Yeah, and, or just, you know, using the In a Wicked Age system that Sid was talking about. But I think there's definitely deficiencies to Dungeon World that this is suggestive of some changes for. But yeah, well, thanks for playing, everybody. I think we'll wrap it up there, and I will think back on these characters in the future. They were all pretty fun.
For sure.
I'm very fond.
Well,
Thank you.
We'll take them out again sometime in the future.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks. Bye,
Yeah,
everybody.
see you guys. Bye.